If you've been scrolling through endless camera listings, watching demo reels, and still feel that knot in your stomach every time you think about committing to a whole home surveillance system, you're not alone. The fear of splurging on a setup that either won't cover the angles you need or ends up being a nightmare to get working is real, especially when you're juggling a small business, a busy family, or a property that just can't afford blind spots. In this video I'm going to walk through the REOLINK 4K PTZ bundle 8 4K PoE cameras, a 16-channel NVR with a built-in 4TB drive, and all the accessories you'd need to get them wired and online. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why a PTZ, pan-tilt zoom, system even matters. Traditional fixed lenses give you a static view, you're dependent on the exact placement of each camera, and a blind spot can hide a theft, a stray pet, or a delivery. PTZ cameras, on the other hand, act like a remote-controlled eye in the sky. The REOLINK RLC823S2 units pack a 16 optical zoom and a 3D rotation range that can sweep an entire driveway, then zoom in on a license plate without losing detail. For a small to medium business that needs to watch loading docks and storefront windows, that flexibility can replace 3 or 4 separate fixed cameras, saving you both cable clutter and monthly subscription fees because the video is stored locally on the NVR's 4TB drive. Ease of installation is where this bundle really starts to earn its keep. All 8 cameras are PoE power over Ethernet, which means a single Cat5e or Cat6 cable supplies both power and data. The NVR has a built-in PoE switch, so you plug the cable from each camera directly into the back of the recorder, and you're done. There's no need for separate power adapters, no need to chase down a wall outlet for each unit. I tested the setup in a 2-story house with the cameras mounted at the front porch, back gate, garage, and 3 interior corners. The whole wiring process took me about an hour and a half, thanks largely to the clear labeling on the NVR's ports and the step-by-step PDF that comes in the box. If you're comfortable running a few Ethernet runs, or you can hire an electrician for a couple of hours, the hardware side feels straightforward. Now, the software side. REOLINK's client app and web portal are clean, but they do have a learning curve if you've never dealt with PTZ settings before. The first thing you'll notice is the auto-track feature, which uses AI to lock onto moving objects, people, vehicles, even pets, and keep them centered in the frame as the camera pans. In my testing, the tracking held up well for a brisk jogger crossing the front yard, but it occasionally drifted when a group of children ran side by side. That's not a deal breaker, it just means you'll want to fine-tune the sensitivity settings if you expect a lot of overlapping motion. The menu navigation itself is menu-driven rather than touch-driven, which can feel a bit dated compared to some newer consumer systems, but the hierarchy is logical once you know where the PTZ preset and zoom speed sliders live. Low-light performance is a major concern for anyone who wants a usable feed after sunset. The RLC823S2 uses a 1/2.8 in CH sensor paired with a built-in infrared illuminator that reaches up to 30 meters. In a test where I turned off all exterior lighting, the footage stayed surprisingly clean, colors were muted, as expected, but facial features were still distinguishable enough to read a license plate at 10 meters when I cranked the 16 zoom. If you need true color detail at night, you'll want to supplement the cameras with external floodlights, but for most security purposes the IR range is more than adequate. One of the biggest questions people ask is, do I need a battery backup? Because these are PoE cameras, they draw power from the same Ethernet line that carries video. The NVR itself has a single power brick, and REOLINK doesn't ship with an UPS, but you can easily plug the NVR into an uninterruptible power supply if you want to guard against a blackout. The cameras themselves won't die if the NVR loses power, they'll simply stop streaming until the recorder comes back online, at which point the last recorded footage is still safely stored on the internal 4TB drive. That means you won't lose any critical moments just because the power flickered. Who should buy this bundle? If you run a small storefront, an Airbnb property, or a home with a sizable lot where you want to watch both the front entry and the backyard without installing a dozen separate lenses, the REOLINK PTZ system is a solid match. The 8-camera count gives you enough flexibility to cover multiple zones, and the 16-channel NVR leaves room for future expansion. You could add a few fixed 1080p cameras for interior rooms while keeping the PTZ units focused on the perimeter. It's also a good fit for hobbyist security enthusiasts who